Hello, this is Cryptolyze. I hope you are well. This Thursday, 1RR February 2024, we meet today to talk about XRP, Ripple's crypto. So, as usual, we're going to split this video into two parts. Partly, we are going to come back to what Ripple is, what XRP is, the news, because there is still some good news going on at the moment. And then, we will project ourselves on the prices, on the graphs to have purchase prices, short, medium, long-term selling prices. And it starts by explaining what Ripple is. So Ripple is a blockchain that aims to be a level 1 infrastructure blockchain to help with economic transactions. This is the very principle of XRP Ledger, which is the blockchain below Ripple. Ripple being the company that operates all of the XRP Ledger technology. And that's really important to understand because when we talk about Ripple, when we talk about XRP, we always tend to conflate the two. They are two separate things, although there is one that actually directly creates the content and the other that exploits it. So it's two separate things, but at the same time, it's very, very linked. Ripple is therefore the company which operates XRP Ledger, and which offers solutions in particular for monetary transfers, which have already existed for a very, very long time. We talk a lot about XRP Army. It's not for nothing. It's that there are very long-term holders of XRP because they have simply believed in the solution for a very long time. Next to it, we have Ripple, which has changed tack for about a year, in which we see that we had communication that was much more focused on simple monetary transfers. And now, we are really moving on to setting up systems for large companies, whether it is the creation of CBDCs, which are economic central bank currencies, whether alongside specialized transfer or liquidity solutions with a OTC desk, OTC being over-the-counter, that's IRE. That it is software that allows you to manage monetary flows that are not managed by the classic market and in an ultra-simple and ultra-simplified way with liquidity management managed by XRP. Behind then, we have XRP with the decentralized applications. In which we have low costs. We already have blocks which are predefined. We see that we have a settlement between 3 and 5 seconds, therefore a finality, very, very low costs, 0.2 centimes per transaction. We are on a TPS in transactions per second of 1,500 transactions. So we are in something that holds up strongly, and that is also why we have products used by Ripple, which are built on top of it. Besides, when we talk about Ripple, we have to talk about its confrontation with the SEC. SEC, which took place throughout 2022, finally, which began at the end of 2021, 2022, and which culminated in 2023, with a game in which Ripple won against the SEC on part of the elements with Judge Torres at the time, who validated the fact that XRP was not a security, and therefore was not an asset that should fall under the control of the SEC. And that is very important because it is a case law that is now used in cases where we find a token that is attacked by the SEC as being a security. We are precisely trying to show through what happened with Apple and XRP that XRP is not a security and therefore all cryptos are not a security. So we are still relatively far away. There is still a part which has been validated and another part which has not been validated in the trial. So I think we will have to wait to see the finality. Especially since it's not because XRP happened that others will happen too. We'll have to pay attention to the next case law. As usual, 1 is good, 3 is better. So we have to wait to be sure that the Ripple case is instantiated and definitive, and that behind the case of cryptos, leave the fold of the SEC and fall rather into the notion of commodities, even if it is not necessarily better, because suddenly it is another actor who takes care of the regulation and who is as strict as the SEC. Today's news from the end of January and beginning of February is that the wallet of Chris Larsen, who is the co-founder of Ripple, was hacked, and in which we have 213 million XRP, which represents roughly almost 100 million, a little over 100 million. Dollars were hacked, and as a result there was a very strong reaction at the price level, inevitably bearish. Although the hacker, we see that it is someone who is not necessarily used to it, went by exchanges to try to sell their XRP, and inevitably we had a blocking of the different exchanges of addresses to lock the XRP and in fact block the funds. So there are very few funds that have been sold, but that does not prevent us from having a very strong downward pressure and a very strong fear. Also a massive dump, because imagine that 213 million XRP is relatively significant in terms of supply and the general volume that can be found at the level of XRP. If I had to summarize XRP and Ripple, for me it is one of the very old projects which is still relevant, which is still in the top 10, and which still has news which is other than this one, but which is rather positive, who play a really strong role for crypto through the fight they led by the SEC. They have a technology that they are looking to extend, and they are specialized in monetary, so it is something that is really very specific. It is up to you to see if it is a project that interests you. But in any case, what is certain, it's that they've been there for a long time and are instantiating themselves over time, no matter what. In terms of the price itself, we had a big, very strong upward acceleration at the April level of 2021, in which we set up a wick-off distribution, in which we find the baying climax, the automatic rally, the secondary test, and then the sign of weakness. And in this sign of weakness, we have a buildup of wick-off that has taken place. And what is interesting to see is that, moreover, all this bearish breakout that we had with this BCARST was also strongly played by a massive and constant sale of XRP of people who were at the start of the project, and that's when it stopped. We saw that we had the implementation of the accumulation. The accumulation, which was rather clean when we look at XRP, we made a low, which was in June, which was Celsius, and we did not break despite everything we were able to know with here. FTX, very big impact for XPR, but all in all, we held the lows, and we didn't print any lows other than Celsius. And so afterwards, we had the bullish acceleration with the Day of Judgment, where we saw an XRP which took off almost in the 1,09380, which marked a high, and then we corrected it. I announced it at that time, telling me that there was no point in worrying about it. We were going to correct it, and we corrected it in the rather classic retest zone. Here we had a phase of accumulation, acceleration, retest, higher, lower retest, second accumulation phase, and there we have a breakout with first pullback, which is rather positive, and therefore obviously went to reinforce second pullback, and I even think that there is a probability of going to retest here, the 04038 with more, once a new pullback to retest this part before potentially being able to leave again. We see that we have bearish pressure, which is very strong, despite the fact that we had the whole month of October, which was rather positive, and November, December, and January, in which we had much more significant bearish pressure than what we have seen on the rest of the market. We had some cryptos that were soaring at that time, and XRP was retracing and having a lot of pressure. I think for XRP to really take off, there needs to be real finality in the SEC lawsuit. Therefore, a real validation, and next to having the implementation of a bull run, in which we could indeed have a large wave 1, large wave 2, and therefore there we will have a large wave 3, which would give us the usual Fibonacci extensions at the level of 1,610, which is the golden number, and XRP in the region of $3, $3.03, which is rather coherent in terms of evolution. If the top 10, we would have a valuation at the end of the bull run, which would be relatively significant linked to the expansion itself of the bull run. So it's completely normal to have an upward acceleration and big targets that could be targeted. In any case, when we look at the fall of Celsius, we see that we still have a pattern that is rather positive, with a reacceleration of the price and a return of volumes and momentum building. So for me, we still have an asset which is rather coherent, which has not yet outperformed. Even if we already have a lot of volume, we have an asset that works. We have a technology that works, and on the other hand, yes, there is perhaps less speculation, but it is something that has already been part of time since a long time. See you soon.